Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an overview of the first and second form, a look at what we're supposed to be trying to train, what we're trying to achieve with the practice of these forms, certain extra things that we can look out for, and certain ways we can make our practice more focused and try and get more out of our practice. First 8 movements of the first and second form are the same movements. We start from a closed position, opening and closing our ribs. This is to practice opening and closing the rib cage whilst keeping a steady stance and a gripped feet. So our feet should be parallel, with our energy twisting inward at the feet and pressing outward at the knee, causing a spiraled energy down the shin bone, keeping the feet parallel with a force pulling inward, but then pushing outward at the knee, raising the pelvis, closing the body down, creating a claw type action in the lower body, allowing us to maintain stability without our knees becoming knocked in or twisted outward, so it doesn't show our arteries on the inside of our legs or overstress our knees and make them prone to being buckled on the inward. Nice and flat and able to raise straight up, springing off our toe with our knee directly above us, but twisted allows us to raise our shin straight up and straight down, allowing a very fast forward and backward action. So our stance should be not inward or outward, but flat, tensioned and pressed out at the different joints in the lower leg, with the pelvis shut upward, gripping, closing the sphincter and turning the groin up. Our chest should sink down on top of this closed groin, creating structure, rounding the back, pushing out the lumbar, making sure that our body is nicely closed and very tight, creating tension up from our sphincter and our pelvis up through the center line to our solar plexus, and concentrating on that pull down, squeezing in with the legs to help enhance it and crushing the sternum down, so that as we open up we maintain this tension and we feel it stretch like a bowstring inside our body, from our sternum down to our groin, and we stretch it. As we get to the top, we should concentrate on pulling down and collapsing that ligament that we've stretched, or the musculature that we've stretched, and collapsing our elbows down, maintaining our elbows in front of our body. I've seen a lot of people elbows down by their ribs. Your elbows should be floated sideways on, so that you maintain a hand's breadth gap between your elbow and your rib cage. So as you sink down from your sternum and your rib cage, closing the body, concentrating on pulling your ribs together, developing your ligaments that pull your ribs together, working on your iron shirt, working on your closing practice. As we close, we shoot forward. This is as if we've sunk our rib and we catch a strike and we shoot forward, and we catch and we shoot in and strike our opponent. We strike the lines. In the practice we'll be striking the 2 points on the insides of the hips to buckle our opponent, to break their structure. So we sink. If there's a fist or attack coming in, a kick, we sink our ribs, we take it on our upper arm and we shoot in along, maybe along the kick into their groin. So this first movement, washing down. These are also Qigong positions that can be used for our Qigong practice, which we will cover in later videos. So we shoot down, and as we shoot down and we shoot out, we close and we spit into our dantian, locking our ribs closed and pulling our hips up in a sharp shutting action and holding it like that. So, and then pulling under tension. As we pull our elbows up and out, concentrating on our finger to elbow line moving outward, as if they're pulling to the floor, and create tension, and then release it, allowing our arms to shoot outward with great force, like a flick. Rather than just pushing, we hold against our muscles and then flick, pull and release. not letting our shoulders come up, not being too down low, but with our shoulders flat, floated, and our elbows along a natural line of the top of our chest, fingers not touching. Then we use our rib cage and our body to close. So we're concentrating on maintaining tension in our body. As we come up with these thrusting elbows, we maintain our stance and we maintain our groin as our ribs come up. So there's some tension held in the body as we come up. So we don't relax, we don't forget about our stance during these points. We concentrate on maintaining our stance whilst moving our ribs in and out, not letting go of our stance, not letting go of our hips, moving through these positions of cross and then down, moving our body. So we concentrate on the opening and closing of the ribs and maintaining the hip structure all the way through, so that as we're out floated, we sink our rib cage and push out our back, trying not to lean forward. Try and let your kidneys and your lower back come back and your rib cage collapse in on itself as your back expands outward like this, so that we don't get used to this leaning forward and back. We try and maintain our upright balance through these movements, holding our pelvis, gripping our stance, making sure that we can maintain our body throughout this exercise. And we sink our ribs straight down, allowing our kidneys to come back, not leaning our head forward. Leaning our head forward would make us prone to being taken down. We sink, striking with the backs of the hands, thinking about the weight of the forearm through the chest, sinking, striking down, maintaining our stance, keeping our shoulders floated forward, and then we turn our little fingers up in order to bring our body in and open our chest, sliding our hands along our body, keeping nice and tight and concentrating on raising our sternum up as high as it will go, but also closing the kidneys down towards the pelvis as we tilt our pelvis back, and try and think of squeezing together from the back of the hips up through the back of the ribs and closing the kidneys and pushing the elbows as far back as they'll go. As you close your kidneys, you'll see it tilts your chest up more, and that allows you a little bit more push from your back. Then, maintaining still tension, we tilt the hips forward and squeeze up the pelvis and sink the chest under tension, fighting against the muscles of our lower back, opposing the back of our core against the front of our core without leaning our body in different directions. We push out and we sink directly down, making sure that our closing phase has no tilt to it. It becomes a straight upward and down, controlling our balance, feeling the weight on our toes and our heel, feeling if it rocks us backwards and forwards through these movements. We have time to police our body and make sure that we're doing this correctly. So we come back and we sink, sinking our chest, pushing out our lower back, closing our pelvis upward and squeezing our ribs together down the front, rounding our back and trying to stretch our scapula, pushing the points of our elbows forward and floating our shoulder joint as far forward as it will go, floating the scapula in the back, trying to stretch them, trying to get more range of movement in the back, greater closing of the sternum, pushing the back out, squeezing the ribs down and pushing the arms forward in their sockets, trying to get more range of motion in the back and in the shoulders. From this position, we maintain the floated elbows and the arms pushed far forward, and we rotate our arms and we cover our head, putting our little fingers forward and concentrating on the bone of our forearm, from our little finger down our wrist through our wrist bone here, down, concentrating on this bone, down to the point of the elbow and pushing this forward at our opponent, maintaining our back, keeping our head back, not leaning forward, keeping our chin tucked, maintaining our spine from the back of our head down to our shoulders, through our upper back, down to our pelvis, through the pelvis, down through the knees, pushing outward, spiraling in from the knees down to the ankles, gripping with the feet pulled up like claws, maintaining tension in the whole body. These exercises are meant to twist the muscles and tendons around the body, trying to shorten your bones against your body, making your bones uptake calcium and strengthen themselves against this tension, to strengthen your skeletal structure and reinforce all your joints and ligaments. So these should be done with great force and for a long time. So from this position of being floating, bones pointing at your opponent, elbows sunk, little fingers twisted, concentration on this bone, we then sink our chest and sink these bones down, concentrating on these bones coming down, making sure the shoulders are floating, trying to stretch the muscles in the shoulders downward, pulling the chest in, sinking, crushing, and as we push forward with our arms and our shoulders sink and we reach the point where we can feel our tendons begin to lock, we release our tension, shoot forward and spit our tension back into our body and gather. At this position, we are floated at our longest extent. We should be trying to reach and round our back. Again, don't lean, but round your back and sink your chest. Try and push your chest in and push your shoulder blades and your scapula forward as far as they'll go, keeping the elbows turned to prevent the shoulders raising up. Always concentrate on not allowing the shoulders to raise up. As the shoulders raise, it turns the arm, which makes you prone to being triggered from the outside, and it removes the power line from inward in the body to outward, outside the body, making it being supported by the smaller muscles of the deltoid rather than the larger muscles of the rib cage and the upper back. So the elbow should be always be striving to be turned in, floated upward, the joint facing towards the sky, so the shoulder joint is down and not twisted outward, so the power line comes down through the body, through the rib cage, down through the pelvis and the foot. So this is one of the things that we should be training in our Sambo gym practice. We should be practicing to keep control of this elbow joint. When we punch, don't hunch the shoulders, shut the rib cage and thrust the elbows forward, trying to maintain your spine and stretch your scapula so that you can achieve a greater range of movement in your back and shoulders and greater hollowing of the chest so that you can have a greater power structure. From this position, we twist our hands first, concentrating on our hands, concentrating on our little finger and working the ligament here. We twist in and pull in from the thumb. From these two ligaments, we pull and we stretch this ligament and we twist the hand as far as it will go without allowing our elbow to turn. We twist our forearm muscles around our forearm bone, creating tension and a shortening action in the forearm. We twist this in. As it locks and we can't go any further, we start to twist the elbow over. As the elbow comes over and we twist in from the hands, we feel the ligament along the outside of our arm and we work this ligament, creating a structure through the shoulder, down, floated, tension, twisting inward in the upper arm and over in the forearm, creating a solid structure. We're training the body against itself, the ligaments against each other, stretching the back, working the ligament along the arm. If the other arm isn't out, then the stress is lessened in the back. So we hold this position and there's big stress through the ligaments of the arm, helping develop the tendons for later deflecting type attacks. As a midline attack comes in, we can roll them using this structure that we've created, and we can snap to this tension structure. It makes it easy for us to roll midlines attacks off to the side. Then, maintaining this tendon structure that we've created, we sink our chest in and we pull our elbows and our funny bones in towards each other, turning the hands. We turn the elbows in and we turn the hands out as we come up, creating an arc action in front of our face, as if there's something coming in and we arc and turn it out, as if we're rolling it outward across our bones. Then we float, turning the elbows in and turning the hands up, working our tendon structure. These first forms have a lot to do with tendon structure and developing the ligaments and the lines of the body and creating structures that are very strong. From this open position, we thrust forward with both hands. This is to teach us to not have tension in the shoulders. This is to keep the elbows floating and have a free action of the wrist. The wrist can turn freely against the elbow, no problem. But if there's tension in the arm, then the shoulder must turn, which opens the rib cage and moves your structure, allowing you to be twisted, maybe taken down. From this Tankyun, upside down hand position, thrusting just the hands, keeping the elbows upright, keeping the shoulders down. The more you keep your shoulders down, the more you can keep your elbows twisted in, the more you can twist the muscles of the forearm, creating tension in the forearm, developing the ligaments down your arm. Holding the palm cupped, spiraling the fingers, making a strong striking surface. So you learn to thrust with your fingers, keeping your elbows down, keeping your shoulders controlled, and sinking your chest and rounding your back, and thrusting elbows so that you activate your scapula and stretch your back and sinking your chest, not leaning, keeping your balance, thrusting your elbows forward and turning your hands and thrusting with your finger jab to this position, and then twisting the elbows more, keeping the hands, working the ligaments in the elbows, building up your structure, and this creates this 45-degree angle. If we come further in, it starts to turn our elbows over, so we're going to keep our elbows turned. This prevents us from coming too far, and we're going to stretch our shoulder blades forward, working the muscles in our back, stretching all the scapula and the shoulder blades, making sure that we're a really long way away and we're twisted. And we make the C and we work the ligaments in our hands, trying to develop the ligaments in between our fingers, working the tendons opposing each other as we close each finger, trying to develop up the ligaments in between the trigger bones, developing up the iron fist, developing up the ligaments that support the fingers, allowing for finger jabs, phoenix eye punches, and developing our hands and the support in our hands, ready for other conditioning exercises and general development. From this finger jab, we make our C and we close them, and we use all our body tension whilst maintaining our stance, keeping our ribs sunk, keeping our hips pulled up, maintaining tension in the body. And we squeeze in and close all of our fingers. Now in the first form, we step forward and we punch with two hands. This is rounding the back, making sure that you control your shoulders. If you're punching with both hands, it doesn't allow your body to turn. You have to control your ribs to punch on both sides. Control your elbows, don't let them float up. Punch forward, round the back. If the shoulders raise up, the elbows will turn out, keeping the shoulders, keeping control, and learning to close and open the chest without leaning forward and back, to float the shoulders, not let them raise up, to work the ligaments in the elbows and the wrists against each other and control your shoulder girdle. As we move into the second form, you punch single armed. The desire is to turn the shoulders to get more force into the punch, but we must maintain our hand out in our locked position from when we've closed. So we punch and we practice stretching the back and the scapula on one side. This will allow us to focus on one arm and maintain our other arm forward. Don't pull back. You'll be able to see if you pull back and your clavicles are now not aligned, the stretch in your back is now shortened because your target has come closer to you. So you come across, you sink the elbow, you've turned the wrist bones, you focus on all your ligaments and the closing of your rib cage and the floating of the shoulders whilst keeping your arm forward, and it allows you to focus on single-sided punching and opening and closing of the back and the closing and opening of the rib cage, making sure that our arm stays in. And then in our first form practice, no shoulders raising, closing and opening the ribs. The same action but both sides, so the desire is not to turn. The practice is to open and close the back, and then as we get to our second form we can emphasize it, making it sharper and more forceful. As we get to the end, we punch on our right, our left and our right, and we practice our ligament training in the first form on both sides, and in the second form focused on each side, focusing heavily on the fingers, focusing on the ligaments in between the fingers and the tendons opposing down the forearm, trying to build strength across your knuckles and through all your joints for finger jabs, strikes and the phoenix eye fist as you over time your hands develop. So these forms very similar objectives, but the second form allows you slightly more freedom in your movement to make you discipline your own movement rather than it being automatic. So you must control your clavicles as you punch rather than punching on both sides, which makes you stay straight. We do punch on the right, fingers, and work the tendons. Punch on the left, fingers, work the tendons. Punch on the right, fingers, and work the tendons. And then we are down in our sunken, chested, upside down position, and we jerk over the left. This is controlling the pelvis, holding the pelvis and turning the shoulders from the rib cage, not from the hips. So we maintain our control of our stance. And we turn shoulders, breaking a grip that may be on our hand, but also keeping our arms out and practicing keeping our arms out and turning from the body, transmitting our waist power through our elbows. We rotate, we come to the center, and we hollow our chest and we stretch our back to grab, making sure to work the ligaments of our wrist as we pull our hands back, making sure that we're working this claw, seeing that we've got a good line so that we land flat, flush on the hand, and we close forward and we grasp, closing our fingers, and we grab their arms. We don't pull back towards ourselves, we keep our elbows in that position in front of us. Whenever we turn in, we keep our elbows floated in front of our body. Through all of these exercises, our elbows must maintain a hand's breadth from the body, emphasizing the closing of the back and making it easier in our later forms to float our elbow out and do things with a gap in the body, opening and cutting back and cutting forward. Various things with our upper arm extended to give us more fighting space. From this position, turn and we grasp, working the wrists, pushing the palms forward, grasping the arms. We pull our pelvis up underneath us and we extend our knee, pushing off our toe to get more impetus from our calf, closing our ribs upward from the pelvis, practicing this sinking of the pelvis upward rather than always sinking of our sternum downward. We close our pelvis upward, drawing our knee up and springing from our toe, drawing our knee across our centre line, guarding our groin and striking our opponent's centre line, maybe hitting in their solar plexus as we sink our ribs and we turn our arms outward from the elbow, shortening their arms and propelling them forward onto our knee. We relax it back into the centre and then we do it on the other knee, sinking our pelvis up, springing from the knee, bringing the shin directly up the body, splitting our arms, landing forward. Also the spinning of the arms before this. So you grab, knee off the left, knee off the right, land, sink your ribs. This sinking of the ribs allows you to practice keeping your sternum and circling of the rib cage without moving yourself off balance, keeping your pelvis held and holding your stance while you open and close your ribs, holding your sphincter and maintaining your groin tension by pulling your feet together, and opening and closing the ribs and then closing them violently and palming forward, controlling the body, keeping the elbows in front of you as you circle, sweeping a grasp that's come on you around and pulling them to the side, coming to the center and strike. From this strike position, your ribs should be closed. So you can test yourself by striking with your elbows against your body, feeling whether your body's well closed, whether you've shut well as you palm forward, and whether your body's locked. From this position, we draw our half step in. This is common to the first and second form. Drawing in, evading a punch, taking our stance from full length to half length, and shifting our balance back slightly without moving our rear foot. So this is a common stance to our forms and we should practice this. Backward, step forward. Front foot, dodging back and dodging forward. So we can dodge back and step forward onto the left in our form, striking with our double phoenix eye, sinking our elbows, controlling our shoulder, controlling our back, seeing how quickly we can move our feet back and through, grip our stance and fire our punch from a stable base, not rushing to punch before our feet have gripped. This is a practice to get better at it, not trying to rush. From this position, we grasp with our arms outstretched and we use our waist action to pull and open, striking upward with the top of the hand, underneath the elbow, and pulling the arm straight to hyperextend. In the first form, we then step across our knee, creating a closed stance, closing our structure very tightly. In the second form, we step across and step our front foot out into a long stance. The form's different in this point, and the second form starts to take on some combat drills and combat applications, as well as some balance training and other aspects. In the first form, we turn and we step out to our full stance, gripping the floor and punching. A nice stable, easy turn. Whereas in the second form, we step around ourselves and move our other foot out into a long stance. This turns us around a long arc very quickly. This also creates the habit of leaning back and losing your balance as you step 1, 2 and assume your long stance. So you must control your pelvis, keep your chest down as you step across and step, raising your arm up, guarding your body and pressing forward with your Yui Kui. You're shaking off the bridge using your forearm bone against a grip on the hand and pressing and striking it off from your hand. So we step 1, 2, keeping our body line, training to keep our chest and our pelvis connected. If we lose this connection as we step quickly, we lean and we wobble. We don't need to lose our balance. We need to create a solid structure as we turn, and we need to train this turn. We need to train turning and keeping our chest down, keeping our pelvis under control. This allows us to turn quickly and extend our Yui Kui out, shaking off a bridge that's gripped us, or striking forward with our other applications. Our bottom hand comes across our elbow, guarding our center line. Again, this is training our back and our chest, teaching us to grip the floor with our feet when we're in a long stance, with our rear leg straight, our front leg bent, taking most of our weight, but we can still pull our feet together through our pelvis and control our groin and control our sternum, creating a mass out of our body, keeping body control, trying to maintain a body system through these movements. And we send our shaking bridge out, covering our ribcage in here, closing our ribs, practicing that as we turn, we maintain our tension through our groin and we shut our ribs very hard, pulling up our pelvis, sinking our elbow down and pushing it forward as we shake off the bridge, covering our ribs, whilst we close them very strongly so that we can maintain our body structure, and if there is a strike that slips through, it's no big deal, we can take it. From this position, we draw back and we cut across. In the first form, we're doing simple punches back, working our ligaments, trying to develop our strength. This is the same as when we came up on the first line and when we come up on the first line of the second form. This second line of the second form, where we've turned, is a shaking off and practicing gripping a stance through a long stance, maintaining your pelvis and maintaining your ribs and crushing and shaking off grips. So there's the shaking off grip combat application and various wrist lock applications. We press, we draw back our rear hand and we crush our ribs more, training our ribs harder. They're already closed, but we can twist them and shut them across our body, drawing our elbow in tight, closing our chest, crushing our body more. Then we may try and maintain tension in the ribs as we raise our elbow, feeling it stretch, but maintaining, coming across our face and striking down with our claw, working our wrist ligaments. We have time to practice flattening our hand, drawing our fingers back, making everything really, really tight, feeling it stretch these ligaments working the forearm. And then we can practice pulling the ribs down and the pelvis up and dropping, catching, using force at the fingertips, trying to transmit the power from the body through the elbow, trying to make these things coincide. And we close and punch, conditioning our chest and practicing closing our chest and opening our rear shoulder and coming across our body line, stretching our scapula, working our back and punching, keeping our elbow, shoulder down and tensing up the Phoenix eye fist nice and hard. We come in striking our chest, conditioning with the hammer fist from the claw and punching forward. From this position, push off our rear foot in this long stance, taking our hips right through, coming to a long stance on the other side, coming off at 45 degrees, bringing this hand that's punched back across our body and sinking our ribs forward, pushing our elbow forward first, closing the rib cage as our feet land and we grip the floor, maintaining our stance, closing the ribs, sinking the pelvis and working our rib cage and pelvis on one line, crushing out and twisting across, trying to concentrate on our body. We're trying to develop our ligaments as we twist from our rib cage across through our abdomen, and then we maintain that, trying to feel the stretch across our ribs as we raise our elbow up, coming across our face, pulling our wrist back, feeling it stretching the ligaments in the wrist, and then sinking the elbow down from the rib cage, trying to generate body power, striking with the side of the hand and grabbing. This hand is pulled back to here at this time. We strike the chest, conditioning and punching at the same time, working the shoulder and the scapula, trying to stretch the scapula, punch. Our back is now stretched and we're trying to push our elbow as far away as we can, working our rib cage, working our spine, trying to stretch our shoulder blade and give ourselves a longer power stroke in these punches. So these things are what we're trying to achieve. This is what we're trying to train from practicing these things in our forms. Again, push off the same, step forward, shake off the bridge, close our ribs, work our body, practice as we did on the other side, closing, covering, grabbing, punching. Then we're going to practice coming from the long stance back to our normal stance, pushing off the front foot, bring our pelvis to the middle and gripping the floor as we strike, sinking our ribs and pulling our arm, striking in case there's a grip on us. We should be able to strike the small bones between the thumb and the top finger. If somebody has us, we strike and pull, pulling them on, striking against their hand, removing the grasp. Again, we push our elbow in and we drive our forearm bones along our forearm bone, pulling back, cleaning off. We come into our center line from our normal stance. It's the same as the turn that we did previously. Step forward into a left, punching, sinking our chest, sinking our elbows, striking forward and grasp, pull, again triggering the elbow, the same as the turn on Sambo Jin. Coming across, bringing our knee in tight, practicing closing our stance, bringing that knee across the front of the body. This is a action done to guard against a kick to the groin. From our stance, we can bring our knee across the body and go back to our stance if we wish to, or bring our knee across and turn if we wish to. So this is a turning of the foot and bringing the shin across the center line. Same as the turn in the first form. Come across nice and tight and we pivot with our hands in our gripped and hooked positions, not pulled into the body but stretched out, and we pivot. And as we pivot, concentrate on keeping our back spread. We're training to keep our arms in their position, to know how far out our arms are and to maintain it. We pivot, we step forward to our full stance. As we step forward to our full stance, the desire is to step onto your elbows. So we step forward to our full stance and we check our elbow distance. We feel for whether we're still hanging, and then from this position we can shut our chest and use the opening of our back and the closing of our chest to generate the short power short punch. So we're going to punch. We're then going to grasp and pull, stepping back. So we step back, rear foot moves, front foot. We practice consolidating our stance as we step and pull. We can then practice the combat applications at the end of Saam or Yui Kui. This forward and back step shouldn't be discounted as something to just perform without thought. We should step forward thinking about moving our front foot and landing on our rear foot and gripping, controlling our pelvis, not allowing our pelvis too much movement. More power at the calf and the ankle. Raise the foot and push, step, land, 1, 2, grip. As we land and grip, we've made our stance stable. We can then close our pelvis and our sternum with great force, pushing our elbows forward, turning our hands and palming, practicing to pull our fingers back as we extend, like this, to expose these bones, to sink our elbows at the same time as our sternum, to practice the timing and the extension of this. We would like a big extension of the back to allow us more power stroke in our body. So we push forward, practicing our ribs, practicing our body, and then we step back. Our arms are extended, but we can draw our elbows in towards each other, closing up from the pelvis and drawing our chest back, closing in, practicing this closing structure and rounding of the back, bringing the elbows in almost close enough to strike the funny bones together. Then pushing out, practicing the ligaments in the wrist, flicking our wrists out and seeing how far we can push our wrists to accelerate our forearm bones out whilst we keep our elbows in their upright position. So we're practicing shoulder control and wrist control at this point, as well as maintaining control through the stance and the spine. A lot of things are happening here, so this is a more advanced form than the first form. Once you've got skill from the first form, you can practice the second form. Practice with the wrists, and we work the ligaments in the wrist, and we turn, grasp, practicing the fingers, ligaments in the finger. We push off our front foot, raising our rear foot, stepping back, again, working the feet, and we close our sternum, practicing splitting, drawing in, sinking our elbows down, not pulling out to the sides or pulling back towards ourselves, but sinking, pulling out with our elbows, making sure to control the body. So these exercises are about body control. We split, then we come forward, controlling our elbows, and we lift. Again, working the wrist. We come to the side and we split to the side. Well, this wrist action is the action that we're trying to practice. These first two forms are teaching us to control our elbows and control our sternum, practicing the control of the body. So we split, we come forward and we practice the sideways actuation of the wrist with the sinking of the sternum and the pushing forward of the elbow, getting a forward power on our strike. And then we can draw back one hand and we can practice each of these singly, so we can work on our ligaments and we can focus greater down one side. As we come to the last position, palm, cover, open, pull, lift, open, chop. Then on the other side, palm, cover, open, pull, lift, open, chop. The last movement, we come across our body, but we keep our elbow and we just drop and we pull. One of the only times we turn our elbow out. So we should be aware of this. This time we turn our elbow out and we move our forearm with very deliberately coming across and pulling and punching underneath. Controlling our stance, lifting our heels and pivoting. Placing our heels back down. Learning to pivot our stance. Controlling our pelvis and not swaying as we pivot. These turns allow us to practice our spinal control and moving on the balls of our feet, and the heels move around. So we come up on the balls, heels move. So we turn, pull to the side and fire our punch, and then we pull our heels back to where we were, come to the centre line and bow to the people. So I hope this gives you some overview of the interplay of the first and second form, how they're teaching chest control, maintaining shoulder control, elbow control, and a lot of wrist control at the end of the second form. And these should give you a scope for lots of training, lots of ligament and body training, and allow you to increase your Kung Fu moving forward. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.